the best dessert I've ever made. Hi, I'm Liv, and welcome to the Leopard Lodge. If you are new here, this is a channel dedicated to creative projects in the home. Years ago, when I was a dessert plater in a restaurant, the dessert menu changed every week, but there was almost always some kind of seasonal panna cotta. When someone ordered the panna cotta, it was my job to carefully finesse it out of its ramekin with a hot knife and land it perfectly askew onto a plate without missing a beat. Drizzle and or sprinkle it with something or another and deliver it to the table while reciting the exact description written on the menu, which was usually quite a mouthful. Luckily for you all, we don't need to do any of that today because this panna cotta was designed to stay in its container. So grab some cute glassware and let's jump in. To imbue our cream with pistachio, we must first blanch the nuts to remove the skins. I'm using roughly 2 cups. You will see in my video that I am starting them in cold water and bringing them up to a boil. This was a mistake and you shouldn't do it. The pistachios got too soggy and it was difficult to remove the skins. I followed the instructions of someone else on the internet without thinking about it and realized halfway through that I had made a terrible mistake. Instead, bring a pot of water to a boil and then drop your pistachios in for a couple of minutes. Now, come meet me on the other side where my pistachios have cooled and are sitting in a colander in the sink. Okay, put a podcast on or some fun music because we're gonna be here for a minute. It's time to remove the skins. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, it's laborious. No, I do not have a cheap method, but it is absolutely worth it, I promise. When all of your skins are finally removed, place them back in a clean pot and top with about 2.5 cups of half and half, or if you wanna get crazy, heavy cream. Add half a cup of sugar, a pinch of saffron, if you're feeling fancy. Cover and turn a burner onto low and leave for about 20 to 30 minutes to steep. Or if you have a fussy burner that you can't control, you can bring it to just before it hits a boil, turn it off, cover it, and leave it to steep that way. Then we're gonna throw everything in a blender and get it real nice and smooth. Strain through a sieve to make sure you filter out any big chunks. Don't do this cheesecloth thing. Ignore me. Ignore everything I do. Why are you even watching me? It's that thumbnail, huh? That panna cotta looks good. Well, guess what? It is. So you should probably give this video a thumbs up. Just saying. Okay, let's finish. Boil some water and pour it into a container that is wide and shallow. We need to dissolve our gelatin. I highly recommend using those sheet things that they make. 1 sheet should do it. Or if you want to keep things veg, you could substitute agar. But I have this giant bag of powder that I bought at the beginning of the pandemic because I was apparently going to make copious amounts of panna cotta for no one because I couldn't see anyone. I don't know. What were you doing 2020, Liv? What were we all doing? If you also have this, you have to very gently sprinkle a tablespoon onto the surface of the water without letting it build up too much. If there's any intense clumping, start over. I had to. And then don't touch it for like 5 minutes. Now it is time to furiously whisk this into the pistachio mixture, which should still be warm but not hot. I recommend straining this mixture through a sieve into a new container with a spout. This action was not caught on camera, apparently, but it will help to make certain that no chunks of gelatin make it into the cup and the spout will make it easier to pour. Grab your cute glassware, gracing is optional, and evenly distribute. This recipe makes about 8 to 10 servings depending on size of vessel and how much you fill them up. Ideally stick this in the freezer as it will set up in about half an hour and you can move on to the next step more quickly. Putting the cups on a sheet tray will help keep things level. However, if you don't have space in there, you can put it in the fridge. You're just gonna have to wait a couple hours. And you could stop here if you wanted. It will still be delicious. But I know you clicked on this because of that magenta colored jello. This was entirely an experiment, but it turned out great. I was never a jello kid, but I've kind of been fascinated by the idea of elevated jello these days. Kind of like what they were doing in the 50s, but like not gross, you know? Let me know in the comments if you want me to try jello recipes from the 50s, because that could be wild. I'm using half a cup of pomegranate juice. This is mostly for color, so feel free to use the sugary concentrate stuff. You don't need to use fancy products here unless you want to. I just happen to have really nice pomegranate juice in my fridge and it gave me the idea, but yeah, I don't recommend wasting your money. You can't even really taste it at the end. Half a cup of water, a tablespoon of sugar. If you do use the concentrate that already has a bunch of sugar in it, just don't add the additional sugar, I guess. A teaspoon of rose water. Taste. Another teaspoon of rose water. Taste. Another tablespoon of sugar. I think that should do it. Whisk on the stove until the sugar is melted. Dissolve another sheet or 2 teaspoons of gelatin into water and whisk that in as well. Let cool and pour on top of the set panna cotta. Back into the fridge to set again. Don't put this one in the freezer, the jello gets weird. 2 plates. Chop some roasted pistachios, maybe 1/3 of a cup. Grab some whipping cream and sugar and vanilla, add to taste, and whip. Pour hot water into a mug and heat up a spoon to make a canal. What is a canal? Let's see if I can explain this correctly. Okay, slowly but decisively drag your spoon from the far end of the bowl towards yourself. The spoon should be halfway submerged into the cream. This is entirely optional and don't feel bad if you don't get it on the first couple of tries. Remember, I plated desserts for a living for almost 2 years. This takes practice and it will still taste absolutely delicious even if you don't do it. Alternately, feel free to just buy some spray whipped cream. I'm not judging. Sprinkle with pistachios. Maybe add an edible flower if you're feeling sassy. And enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's the best dessert I've ever made. I love, love, love pistachio desserts. And I love panna cotta. So, this is my favorite dessert now, question mark? I mean, I don't know if I love it as much as a cannoli. I should make cannolis sometime. Cannolo. Oh, we're not gonna do Italian today. Okay. What an impressive dessert to share at a dinner party that you can do way ahead of time and not have to stress about. Like you could do this the day before, maybe even 2 days before. I still have one of these sitting in my fridge from like 4 days ago, which I should probably eat. I just realized. Let me know in the comments if you want to see another flavored panna cotta recipe, or maybe some elevated jello, or cannoli, or all three. If I ever decide to do something crazy like open a restaurant, this is definitely going on the menu.